Our banquet is set for November 17th here at Doubletree at 12:30. And I want to introduce some of these people here now, our selection committee member. They're the ones that do all the work. Greg Hansen is out of town, he can't be here. Todd Mayfield is here. Where's Todd? I saw him a little while. Todd Mayfield, a 20-year coaching career at Tucson High and Palo Verde. Mayfield won 178 games, which is number 4 in Tucson history. Coach Mayfield coached Palo Verde to the 2005 state championship. Not bad. Lynn Anderson, is he here today? There he is, Lynn. Baseball coach at Flowing Wells High School, CDO High School, and Pima College. State champions in Flowing Wells in 1983, 2009 state champion at CDO. Arizona High School Coach of the Year at CDO 2009, 2010, and Arizona Baseball Coaches Hall of Fame. Lynn, Juanita Kingston is not here today, I don't think. She couldn't make it today. Okay, we have her. Kathy Crucker is here. Where's Kathy? Kathy Crucker? At Rincon High School and Hellion High School grad. She was a long-time volleyball coach at Palo Verde. Kathy's a 4-time volleyball coach of the year and Masters Swimming Sportswoman of the Year. She was a U of A 1971 Outstanding Sportswoman. Kathy is also in the Arizona Sports Hall of Fame, and she was inducted into Catalina Sports Hall of Fame in October. Kathy? Good. Stacy Ivins, is she here?
She's coming, she'll be late.
She's going to be late. Okay, Stacy, she's our new members there. And Dale the Voice Lopez, our vice president. Where is he? Dale, he is a youth-based sports advocate. Dale has coached youth sports at Roscouch K-8 for over 50 years and is directly annual college-wide basketball, softball, and cross-country tournament and meets for over 40 years. He's now in his 47th year officiating high school and softball. Jim Marker, the professor. There you go. Jim, a 1963 grad, Rincon High School, 5 varsity letters in basketball and track. He spent 32 years as an AAA high school official in football, basketball, and baseball, officiated 13 state championships. Judy McDermott. Judy's in her 4th year as executive director of the First Team Tucson program, one that was driven by Southern Arizona junior golfers, is affiliated with the PGA Tour for both golf and life skills development. Prior to that, McDermott was a former golfer at UCLA and was 30 years the executive director of the Tucson Open. All right, so now I'm done with that. I'm going to have Delano Price come on up here. Dana will introduce our new inductees. Hey, Delano.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Good. Before I get started here, I've spoken with some of the inductees, and a couple of you were a little bit nervous. I'm not gonna grill you. I don't have any ballots in my zipper right here. Okay, and I'm just gonna ask a couple questions, ask about your background, and I promise it won't be too difficult. And also, some of the inductees are not present today, and hopefully they'll be at the banquet in November. Get that word out. Get that word out to Fat Lever, Pueblo. All right, the first, and by the way, I was vice president of this organization for many years, and it's one of the best organizations that I've ever been a part of, so thank you guys for inviting me back. The first inductee is Melinda Almazan. Melinda was a graduate of South Point High School. While at South Point, she was all-city in softball and volleyball, all-city, all-region, all-state. She was MVP of a state championship softball team. She went on to Regis College, where she became the 2-time NCAA Division II Volleyball Player of the Year. That's the Honda Award, which is synonymous with excellence. She is a member of the Rocky Mountain All-Century team, and she was Rocky Mountain Player of the Year. Melinda's not present today, so I'm honored to introduce her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Al Almazan, and if you'd like to come up, you don't have to, Al, but this is the one time, Al, and when we were in high school and I was a freshman, you really gave it to us, so I'm gonna put the pressure on you.
Thank you,
Good to
Delano.
see you, my man.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Appreciate it.
You bet.
Good morning, close to good afternoon. I do not have a prepared speech, but as Delano says, I'm not often short for words. Delano and I, like he says, he was a freshman, I was a senior. And Melinda was a special kid. She was on the softball field at 4 years old, practicing with her sister. And so she excelled in in softball. And then she was about the third grade when she went to a volleyball clinic with Rincon High School coach, Paul Becklin, I think it was. And she was on the sidelines, third grade, and he says, come on over. And that was her start in volleyball. She continued with volleyball and softball, and then she also took up basketball. So basically, when she got to South Point, she excelled in volleyball. And then Mark Townsend, his coach, and may he rest in peace, he asked me to, what was it he had to do to make Melinda a volleyball setter? She was set on being a hitter, and he wanted her as a volleyball player, as a setter. And I said, well, why do you want her as a setter? And he says, I want my best athlete touching the ball every time it comes over the net. And I said, well, it's very simple. All you have to do is tell her what you just told me. And she did, and she excelled. She did very, very, very well. She was very bright, did very well academically and athletically. Now, I mentioned basketball, and that's my favorite sport, Delano's as well, okay? And she was playing all three of them, and at one point I said, Melinda, you will have to give up one sport. And she says, why? Which one should it be? And I said, basketball. I hate to say it because it's my favorite, but that is the game you're going to get hurt in. So she ended up dropping basketball and continued softball and volleyball. From there, we preached to her, if you go away to school, don't get homesick. She never came back home. Never came back home. And to this date, she lived 20 years in Denver, and now lives in Dallas, and now has her daughters playing volleyball. So that is Melinda. The one thing that she has is humility. She's humble, and basically she was taught that if you're asked, can you play? Say, I can play. Are you good? Just say, I can play. Don't ever say how good you are. Let other people tell you how good you are. That is Melinda. And my wife was there, Evelyn. She was there all the while, and a great, great supporter. And we thank everyone here for her nomination. We certainly appreciate it, as Melinda does. Thank you, Delano.
Okay, our next inductee is Tom Danahy. Jesus Christ. I want you to come up here. I've been waiting for this for a long time. Tom Danahy, we go back decades. I still have that cover of the Tucson Weekly where Sean Elliott and I were on the cover right before he was drafted. Tom is an amazing person. He's been a coach in basketball, golf, tennis, and track.
And volleyball.
And he has an outstanding record of 388 and 107 in basketball.
Well, it's a little better than that, but who's counting?
Why did I not think you would say that, Tom? Okay, and Tom is a winner of 24 Press Club Awards for a sports column in the Tucson Weekly, and he is an 8-time sports columnist award winner for sports writing. And one thing I have to say that makes Tom unique, a lot of what Tom wrote about in his columns, he was there to see it. I mean, I'm telling you, the old days at Bear Down Gym and Reed Park, when Tucson was the mecca for pickup basketball games. And I'm gonna embarrass him a little bit. He's also a math genius. He tutored my granddaughter, who's now an honor student at USC. Welcome, Tom.
My pleasure.
Come on down.
But I have to talk?
I'm gonna ask you a couple questions.
Okay, well,
here,
ask me the questions. Go ahead.
as usual. How did you what's your passion? Coaching or writing? What is your passion?
Writing is not my passion, believe me. Writing is how I make money. Coaching is a way to remain competitive. I was an okay athlete in high school. I played 5 sports in high school, and I played 4 in college, and I was just okay, but I got by. And being competitive is just keeps you alive, and coaching helps you remain competitive. And you know, I love seeing the kids get better and everything, but it's all about me. It really is. So.
Now,
no.
you run, did I hear Al mention the word humility? No, that's not Tom. Okay.
No, I'm
now,
just kidding.
You run an adult basketball league?
Yes, there's, in 1988, my wife's a teacher, and I write for a living, so I would write at home, and we had 2 very small children, and my wife wanted the kids to herself one day a week so she could do arts and crafts or crap like that, I don't know. And so she said, you have to get out of the house one day a week. And so I started a men's basketball league in 1988, and it won't die. It just keep, and I've never quit anything in my life. And I don't make any money on it. I've broken even for 37 years, and or lost money sometimes. But and there's an endless supply of really bad basketball players in Tucson, and they all want to play in the league. We started out with 8 teams, and this season we have 112. And we go from 9 to 9 in the morning, 9 in the morning till 9 at night at Sporting Chance on Sundays, sometimes on 5 courts. And I mean, Sean Elliott played in the league a long time ago. We've had many great players and a lot of bad players. But you know what, though? I always say that these guys were like the star of third period gym. You know, but now they get a chance to play on a court with jerseys and refs and whistles and everything, and they're happy, and good for them. Seriously, I'm glad they didn't give up. And so the league is still going on, and it will go until, you know, I die, I guess. I don't know. I'm not going to quit, and we're not running out of teams. So that is something that I have done for and I've never missed a Sunday in 37 years. So.
Before I let you go, Tom, is there any story from your writing, all of your years in writing, any story that sticks out? Be brief, Tom.
No, there's just too many of them. I mean, and you and I used to play pickup ball at Bear Down, and Marquez wrote something about Bear Down recently that brought back a lot of memories. That's one of the saddest things of my life, is that they've turned Bear Down into an office building, because the number of people who spent every waking moment at Bear Down. One of my favorite, real quick, I actually remember, it was May 5th of 1978. We woke up in the morning, it was a Saturday morning, and there was snow on the Catalinas. It was a very weird May day in Tucson, and I went over to Bear Down to get there at 9 o'clock when they opened up, and we were in there playing, and you could see your breath in the building. And we're playing, and Hoagie was there, and the legendary Hoagie Simmons, and we started playing, and Fred Snowden came over, and he said, guys, I'll open up McHale for you so you can play in there. And Larry Demick, remember Larry Demick?
He's from the same hometown.
Right.
Yeah.
And Larry Demick said, Coach, this is Bear Down. He said, you know, McHale's where we work, this is where we play. and that has always stuck with me. And so, anyway, thank you very much.
Tom mentioned the name Marcus. My son Marcus Price officiates for Tom, and he's also a best-selling author, a #1 best-selling author, who's written 3 bestsellers. and one of them, he talks about bear down. Okay, Francie O'Leary Hafner. Hello there, come on down. How are you?
Very nice to meet you.
Good, nice to meet you. You know, I was reading over your resume, and well, I had to go back to when I was practicing my Easter speeches, you know, to make sure I got everything in here.
Oh, I thought you meant because I was so old.
Oh, no, no. Francie was a product of Catalina High School and the University of Arizona. She's a high school All-American, four-time champ in the 100 and 200 freestyle, qualified for the 1984 Olympics as a high school junior, swam 4 years at the U of A, was All-American, All Pac-10, and NCAA champ in the 200 freestyle, and an 87 to 90 finalist in the 200 freestyle at the Olympic trials. You're a retired director of the Montessori schools in Portland, and you teach and coach youth and masters. Nice to meet you. So tell us about how you got started in swimming. I'm gonna let you have the mic, and I'm gonna step over here. Tell us how you got started and how you became all everything. Were you gifted, or did you practice? How did that work? Or is it a combination of both?
Well, I'll tell you the story my mom always tells, is that she grew up in Ohio, and her and my father moved here to Arizona when my brothers, my sister and I were all very young. And she said there were pools everywhere, and she was nervous that we would drown. So we started taking swim lessons when we were crawling. And so the rest is history. We started at a summer league team at Catalina Terrace, and then we were on a U.S. swimming team. We went to the Metro Y, then we went to Old Pueblo, then we swam at McHale, or it's not called McHale anymore, at U of A.
Yeah.
And then we all went to Catalina High School and kept swimming, and had great accomplishments. And then we all swam at the U of A. And I swam a little bit longer than because I made the national team. And yeah, it's hard work, but it's fun, and it's. We just loved it. When my mom said, "What do you want to do?" We said we want to swim. My parents, we traveled to Ohio. We drove across the country almost every summer growing up. My dad made sure that we stayed at hotels with the best swimming pools so that we could goof around, and he always found us like a fun swim meet to go to, or a good team to go swim with, and so it's kind of all we knew, and we loved it.
Now I want to ask you a question. When did you know, I mean, some people are just athletically gifted, and some people have to practice. I mean, Tom Brady was the 199th pick in the draft, and he's right up there with Serena Williams, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan. When did you know that you were going to really be special?
Well, my mom made me make a decision when I was 12 years old. I also was a pretty good gymnast back when I was little, and she finally was getting too tough. We started having too many swim practices, and I started having more gymnastics practices, and she said, "Francie, I can't drive you all over the town of Tucson. Which do you want to do, gymnastics or swimming?" And without a doubt, I picked swimming. And so it just, it was, again, yes, it was hard work, but when I look back on it at the time, I didn't think about it as hard work. I didn't want to do anything but go to swim practice. Yeah, I would skip anything to be able to be in the pool.
Okay, I'm going to let you go on this question. I see in your bio that you teach and you coach. What are the challenges of teaching and coaching young people especially? I mean, I'm not picking on young people, but what are the challenges of teaching and coaching young people?
I think the challenge is making them understand how fun it is and how gifted they are, that when they're really good swimmers. It's a bigger challenge in today's world, I believe, that with electronics and technology, we didn't have that back in our day.
Social media.
Social media. And so a lot of the swimmers who are on my little swim team are doing it because their parents are making them, because it's the only exercise that they will do, because they tell me they have fun doing it. It's not a team sport where they're worried about being better than their buddy. While swimming is like a great team sport, it's also very individual, and they get to set their own goals and move at their own pace. And then coaching the old people, the masters swimmers, I also started swimming again, and I get to swim with Kathy tomorrow at U of A for practice. So I thought, I took 26 years off from swimming after I was done at U of A, and just jumped in the pool to start swimming again, to try to figure out what I was going to do after I retired from teaching, and never looked back. And so now I wake up for 5:30 morning swim practices again. I go to swim meets, I compete, but I can't wait for the next swim meet. It's great fun, and again, it's all about the people. It's great people to work out with and stay fit and have fun.
Well, that's wonderful. It's so nice to meet you,
Nice
and
to meet you.
congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations, Holly.
Virginia Pedasoli Sanchez. So how are you?
I'm good.
Good, good. You know, when I was talking with you over at the door, you know, the name Pedasoli, I'm an old guy, okay? But I'm a Badger. I'm an old guy, but I'm a Badger. And I remembered Frank Pedasoli, Francisco, and you told me that was your dad. He was a heck of a player at Amphi way back when they used peach baskets for, no, we had nets. Okay. Virginia, you were a 3-time state champ in the 800, 1600, and 3200 meters from 1993 to 1991. You won back-to-back state titles in cross country. Your time in the 1600 was 5th in the nation. Wow. You went ahead to the U of A and became a member of the cross-country team, and you told me you switched from
In track.
to
I just moved up, which is common. I'm so short, sorry guys.
no problem.
So I was 8, 16, 3200, and then most people just move up to the next level of distance, just because they get faster. Like 400-meter runners move up to 800, and then suddenly it's like, whoa. So I moved up to the 15 and the 3,000, and that was where I pretty much stayed. A few times the coach would ask me, and I'd run like a 5,000 on the track, and I did, and oh God, it wasn't my thing. I liked the more middle distance. I was definitely more, that was just too many laps to count. So.
You know, I was glued to the Olympics, and I don't want to offend the guys, but I hardly watched anything involving the men, especially the women's gymnastics, track and field.
And diving. I
And
love
diving.
I love
Oh,
diving.
man, I tell you what. In fact, I just bought Katie Ledecky's her book is out. I just bought that. It was great. So there are some events in track and cross country that are looked upon as the glamour events, the 100 meters, the 200, 300. I have to admit, I pulled a muscle pulling for Sha'Carri Richardson to come across the finish line in the 4x100. Come on, girl. And but so tell me how you became attracted to these events. I mean, because that's a discipline and dedication, desire. Talk about that.
Well, I always say if I would have went out for track first, I probably would have been a sprinter, because I was really fast. I was one of the fastest girls on the team. But I went out for cross country, and I ran the 1.5 miles in PE. And like the next day, our athletic director, Mr. Nito, if you've been around
Raul.
sports, he was at my door, and of the classroom, and he was, hey, you should come out for cross country. And it was already like 4 weeks into the season. I'm like, I don't even know what cross country is. And so So he pushed, and I was like, well, I got to get a physical, and he's like, done. You know, just right. We used to have a little clinic right there, right off campus, and so I went out, and it was. I mean, honestly, it was just easy for me early on. Like I went out, and I was immediately the top runner on the team, and we had some girls that had trained like 1,000 miles over the summer, and I can't say that I didn't train because my mom made us do a lot of chores, and we had moved from Texas, and we run the streets. Like we'd ride our bike from Stone and Glen, where I grew up, all the way to Catalina State Park, like 3 times a week. Like, so we were playing and still staying in shape. And so when I went out for cross country, I was able to run 3 or 4 miles, no problem, do hill repeats. So it came very natural.
Piece of cake, huh?
Yeah.
So are you involved in anything related to running today? Any coaching or?
So I did coach at CDO for a while, but luckily I have some very athletic kids, and none of them chose cross country or track. So I coached at CDO for 4 or 5 years, and then I coached at Tortolito Middle School as a parent volunteer with my kids. And then when they got to high school, they are doing, my daughter does wrestling. She went to state as a freshman. She's done softball. She's been a competitive softball player. My son is a linebacker at we're all at Mountain View now. And so that's pretty much where my attentions go right now. I've got I tease my husband, I've only got 3 more years, and then I could go back and, coach or do what I want to do. But I just feel like at this point in my life, that's, we're heading up to Las Vegas for the big freak show wrestling tournament, and it's a lot, like doing club and school wrestling. So yeah, that's what I do now.
Well, that's fantastic. Congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you in November. Okay, the next inductee is Art Menchaca. Yeah.
Cross-country runners.
Well, hello, this guy's a neighbor of mine. I usually see him and his daughter. I'm coming off of David Yetman Trail or somewhere out west, and him and his daughter are running. And I was going to ask you, did you run over here?
No, not today.
Okay.
A little too warm.
A little too warm, huh? Okay, Art is a product of Sunnyside High School, part of that pipeline from Sunnyside High School to Pima College and beyond. This guy is in the pantheon of distance runners from that legendary Jim Melky tree. Okay, if you know who Jim Melky is, you know why this guy's standing here. I'm talking names like the Godfather Mario Castro, Raul Nito, Ralph Sanchez, Larry Martinez, these guys. It's really one of the most compelling sports stories in the history of Tucson. Art won the city, regional, state titles. He was All-City All-American. In the 1970s, he led Pima to the first co-conference championship. And I learned something. I always like to learn first. Several of you have many firsts. At the facility on the west campus at Pima College, as you walk on to the facility, there are these structures, these granite structures that contain the names of all of the great All-Americans, all-region, whatever, at Pima College. And, of course, your name is on there, and I always stop and just, it's like when you go to Yankee Stadium, you can't go there unless you go to Monument Park. Well, I learned that you hold the distinction of being the first All-American in any sport at Pima College. Now, you should clap for that. Yeah. That is, it's really amazing. Art was inducted into, he went from Pima College to NAU, where he was inducted into the NAU Hall of Fame. He was a champion runner there, named the top runner. He won the Phoenix Marathon in 1988, and Art would go on to a career in education where he became a principal and superintendent at ACE Charter School, and Art continues to teach running today. Art Menchaca, come on down.
Thank you.
So Art, talk about how you got started, how you became interested in running.
Well, I really didn't care for running. I didn't even know what it was. To be honest, I decided I was going to be a football player. But 5 feet and 90 pounds or 70 pounds, probably back then, 7th grade, I didn't make the team. My 2 older siblings made it. And so one day I was sitting around waiting for my brother George to finish his football practice. And I see these guys running around the school and running around the track. So I said, well, I think I'll ask them, see what the heck they're doing. So I asked them, they said, come and join us. It's cross country. That's what we do here. I said, you just run. We said, yep, that's what we do. I said, okay. So I figured, well, I have a choice, either sit and watch my brother practice and be in mourning that I didn't make the football team, or go out for the cross country team. So I decided to go out for the cross country team. That's how it all got started.
So talk to us about what it was like to be coached by Jim Milkey.
Oh, yeah. Actually, Coach Milkey was, we would meet even after he retired at least once a month for breakfast until he passed away in September last year. But he was my junior high coach, then became my high school coach, and then became my college coach. So he was mostly part of my life as far as running goes. And he was a type of a coach that he didn't take no for an answer. So he would go ahead and pick me up at the house, make sure that I was at practice. So every morning he would come by, my mom would tell me I needed to get out of bed, and he would, if I didn't get out of bed, he would come in the house and pick me up and say, let's go. So he was that type of coach that always pushed me. He knew what was in me that I didn't know, but he believed in me. And so he kind of guided me through that. I think Coach also went ahead and he went ahead and made sure that I was always pushed to the limit as far as what I was capable of, things that I did not know. For example, I hated the steeplechase. I did not like to do that, and I wanted to be an 800 meter and 1500 meter because that was the short races. I didn't want to be running around like Virginia said, lose track of laps, So, but he would always put me in the steeplechase, put me in the 10,000, whatever the team needed points there, so he would put me. And so that's what I did, and that's where actually steeplechase was one of my best events.
I see, Art, where you pursued a career in education, post-running career. Tell us how Jim Melky impacted your life and inspired you to become an educator.
Well, one of the things that two things Coach instilled in me was, A, you have to start your cross-country season in June. If you start training in August, you're behind the ball game there. You have to start in June. And even though it's hot here in Tucson, extremely hot, you have to find a way to get out there. So that was one thing. The other thing was he always instilled me as far as giving back to the community. So, my way of giving back to the community was, let me get into education, let me try to mentor some of the kids, and also coach junior high. But I kind of figured after coaching junior high, and then I went ahead and assisted my friends with coaching in high school. I kind of felt that was not for me at that level. So I decided to take a break and just concentrate on my running. And then I helped Coach Milkey with assisting coaching at Pima College. And to me, that was a better fit for me. So that's how I got involved with the youth, giving back to just the way he was giving back to the youth and mentoring them.
Well, congratulations, my friend, and I'll see you on the West Side running.
Can I talk about my running camp?
Oh, absolutely. Art has an addendum to his speech here.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to, one of the things that I'm still involved with running, and so I wanted to go ahead and just share with you as far as my Michoaca, it's called the Michoaca Running Camp. And it's for local runners, and it's held up in Greer, Arizona. As we know, Tucson is too hot to run in the summertime, so 30 runners are recruited to go up there to go run in Greer, Arizona, spend in a nice resort, Edelweiss Resort and restaurant. And the thing about this camp is very unique is because it's about how do you balance being a student athlete. So not only is the physical as far as your training there, but also your mental. And my wife does a really good job as far as providing those sessions, as far as goal setting, stress management, visualization, and then also time management. So, we're looking for 30 runners. Hopefully we'll get 30 runners. Last year we had 11. They enjoyed it, and the resort was great with the kids. So we just want to put a plug in for that. It's $475 for the whole week. They get 3 meals from the chef, and they get to stay in a nice resort, and they get all the training twice a day, and also all the sessions are involved. All right.
Congratulations, Art.
Thank you.
Okay, Jerry Costello. Jerry is a part of the Castellum dynasty. His brother Dickie was a principal, and your brother Danny
Was a
the
principal.
principal also. So, I mean, there's a common thread that runs through your family, buddy, working with kids.
And my dad was involved in the schools as well.
Yeah, your dad, in fact, Jerry's dad is in the Tucson High Badger Foundation Hall of Fame. I go up there and I look at all the pictures when I go down there, including mine. Okay, hey Jerry, you are an official, and I also a football official, and I also learned that, I knew you were an athletic director at several schools in the district, and I learned that you were an all-city baseball player at Pueblo,
Yes.
and also you were a coach of the year in softball
Softball.
at Choya High School. You are a dinosaur, my friend. That's not to be offensive, but as far as officials, I mean, I can only think of a few people, you, Cleo Robinson, who've done the gamut from high school to the NFL. And one of the things that I wanted to ask you about that, my friend Curly Santa Cruz, who's here today. Curly, raise your hand back there. He's the legendary football coach at Pueblo High School. The stadium is named for him, so make sure when you pass by there on the south side, look for the lights, okay? Curly told me that at each level, okay, from high school to college, to junior college, NFL, whatever, the game speeds up fivefold.
True story.
Okay, how does that translate for you guys that have been around for a long time? How does that translate? I mean, what are the, the gimmicks and, tricks that you have to employ to do that? I couldn't wait to ask you that.
Well, what we do is we don't get any faster. We just slow down and let them go by us. And so we still get it, as long as we get an angle on where the runners are, the receivers, the quarterback, whatever the case may be, we need that angle. So it's not getting faster, just keeping up with them. It's just sitting back and being able to see everything. In fact, as you get older and as you work football or any sport as an official, the game slows down for you. You see more, and you see the it just slows down so much that you can see things that other people can't. Mm-hmm. Young officials will never see some of the stuff that we see as older officials because our mind has slowed down a little bit. Our eyes have changed, so we get to see what's going on. Exactly. Okay.
Let me ask you something. Who complains the most? High school, college, or the NFL? I think I know the answer, but I'm going to let you do it.
You're talking about coaches or parents?
Well, We got some parents in here. No, who complains, like when officiating football, for an example, who complains the most? I mean, you throw a flag and the guys didn't hold or whatever. I mean, you can intimidate the high school kids, but who would you say that complains the most?
Junior high,
Junior high.
the lower levels. I mean, those parents and those kids they think that they don't make mistakes when they're little like that,
The kids or the parents?
Yeah, the kids.
Oh,
and
okay.
the parents.
Oh.
Not my son. He didn't do that. There's no way. He didn't hold. But in all honesty, the coaches at high school level have gotten so much better, and they know the rules. They're learning the rules, and in college they already know the rules. And now that they've introduced instant replay into the game, I mean, it's really changed. When I was in the game, the college game, there was no instant replay, so your call was the
Right.
call. And now they've adjusted to that, and the officials adjust to what it's going to look like in film. So if I call catch or no catch, it's going to be reversed anyway, one way or the other. So
I was when I was speaking with you prior to the event, I was reflecting back. I want to say the golden age of officials. Bobby Rao, boy, he made a call in a game against Rincon, and I still hold it against him, but I never complain. Bobby Rao, the Hart brothers, Mike and Bobby, Dean Metz,
Yeah.
Donnie Moore, Jim Markert, those guys, Fogeltens, those guys are the legends. Are you finding that people are filling the ranks, new people are filling the ranks as you guys leave?
It's hard to answer that question because longevity is not there anymore. The officials that when I started, I've been doing it now 45 years, and when I started, I had the people you mentioned: Jim Marker, Metz, Bobby Rao, Dick Barch. I mean, all those people. They were there for a long time, and they were there before me. And now we see these people coming in, and they come in at a late age. They'll come in their 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
And so we started in our 20s. So there's a difference as to what the coaches or what the officials will do to try to get it right and to try to be as good as they could be,
To compensate.
To compensate and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Well, what an amazing career.
well,
Congratulations,
appreciate it. And I
buddy.
appreciate my dad because
Yeah.
he's the one that got me into this.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you very much.
Okay, our next inductee is Susan Warfield Primusburger. Now, I don't want the rest of you guys to feel bad, but I have to say, this woman is amazing. I mean, I was looking over her bio, and I got a little snapshot, but then I read what she had submitted, and I mean, the word that jumps out from her bio is leadership. Okay, Susan attended Rincon High School, the Rangers, one of our rivals. And then she went on to the U of A, where she participated in gymnastics and led it for 3 years. From there, she pursued a career in education, where she became a gymnastics coach at Palo Verde High School. She was there for 7 years and turned a program around that had been 13th in the Sonoran region to 3 trips to the state finals. And then she became a district level athletic administrator, the first female assistant athletic director in TUSD. And she used her skills and talents to advocate for equality for women in sports. And boy, look at today, because of people like you. And And then she served on several committees. I could talk about a lot. But she went ahead and became assistant principal at Sabino High School and Tucson High School. And then she became principal at Sabino High School, which was an award-winning high school and one of the top high schools in the state, even in the nation. So I know they're going to use this room for another group, so I could go on, but I'm going to let Susan come up and talk, okay?
Do you have a question
So,
for me?
Yes,
or-
I do.
Okay.
I have a question. So tell me how your career in athletics started.
Okay.
Thank you, Delano. And I want to thank the committee for considering me, honoring me. I appreciate it. I was looking at the sheet that's on the middle of your tables, and I noticed I was in the pioneer category, which is pretty accurate. But like Francie talked about, I started, loving gymnastics at a very young age in the backyard. And we would go around our neighborhood and ask the neighbors to save their old mattresses so that we could pile them high and just run and do whatever we could on old mattresses. And there weren't a lot of organized sports for girls. I had two older brothers that were playing, football and track and field and swimming and things like that. But gymnastics is where I landed at a very young age and had tremendous passion for it. As Delano said, after college, and I was not a great gymnast, let me tell you, gymnastics it's not like it is today. Our mats were very small, we didn't have springboards and things like that. But I continued that passion for a long time. And when I was the coach at Palo Verde High School, I remember thinking, I don't think I really want to do this. I want to open my own gym. And talked to my parents about how I could go about getting a loan and so forth. And then they told me about insurance and liability and all of that. And anyway, gymnastics went away in 1983 is my recollection with TUSD. And needless to say, it broke my heart. I really lost a big part that was a huge part of my life. During that time of coaching, I also loved the whole idea of someone judging you on the most minute things. So I decided that I was going to be an Olympic judge someday, and I was going to really work towards that. I, became an elite level judge and did all the Southwest college meets as well as high school meets and private clubs. And private clubs were really coming on the run at that time, and even bigger once they lost gymnastics at the high school level. And so I worked at two private clubs, and then eventually TUSD opened up an assistant athletic directorship, and I competed for that and was, as Delano said, the first female to be in an athletic position for a district, coordinating all of that. And so I learned a lot, and I kind of fell in love with, as Delano said, organization and leadership and that type of thing. And anyway, eventually, when I was at the assistant principalship level and the principalship level, which was the category you needed to be in any leadership positions for the Arizona Interscholastic Association. So I moved forward into that, becoming at one time the 5A conference president for the AIA and several other positions. And I really learned a great deal. As Delano said, I really advocated for women's sports. And one of the things that I tried to do as a site administrator was to hire female coaches for female sports. I encouraged women to become officials. I encouraged, hired, I believe this is true, the first athletic trainer in TUSD to take care of men, boys, and girls sports. And that woman stayed for 23 years as the athletic trainer, was substantial impact on our boys at Sabino and the women too.
Susan, in your successful career, who were your role models? Mentors, role models, people who inspired you? I remember your parents. She's from a wonderful family.
Yeah.
I remember your parents, but who were your role models who inspired you to become a leader?
Well, I would say first and foremost my parents. My dad especially was a very disciplined man. There were 4 children. There was not a night. My father did not run at least 3 miles every night at 10 o'clock. And back then they did not have, that was after putting all the kids to bed and stuff like that. He would take off at 10 o'clock. And that was before all these athletic shoes were about. So he just ran in, just good old Keds tennis shoes, but 3 miles minimum every single night. And I'd also have to say, really, it sounds sort of strange, but I really liked the Russian and East German judges in gymnastics and followed them to find out what it was like to become that skilled of a coach, to create such great athletes. And that had a huge impression on me.
Okay, I'm gonna get you out of here on this. Now, you were an elite level judge. I'm gonna ask you what I asked a couple of other people. To be at elite level, when I watched the Olympics, I didn't know what I was watching. I just knew they were magical, the women gymnasts. What are the challenges of that, being an elite level judge?
Well, first, back in the day, you had to script every move the gymnast did, and it was a shorthand. And if someone did a 360 pirouette on the balance beam, that was it had to maintain the critique, and it had to definitely do 360 degrees. So you watch every little thing, but it moves fast, so you had to know the shorthand. You had to know it, and you didn't make up your shorthand, you had to know the shorthand by the USGF, United States Gymnastics Federation Handbook. So you had to memorize that. And if you missed something, I'm telling you, that coach was coming after you. And you better have that in front of you when you could say, well, right after that pirouette, when she went into an aerial cartwheel, she had her right toe off the beam. So that was a deduction.
Wow,
That type of thing, yeah.
that's amazing. Well, you've had an amazing career. Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
being selected as an inductee for the Pima County Sports Hall of Fame. I'll see you in November.
Okay, yes.
Okay, Tom Tatum. Tom finished 6th at the PGA qualifying school in 1977, played in more than 10 PGA tournament events, and is one of the city's foremost golf instructors at Rincon Golf Complex and in Green Valley. So Tom, talk to us a little bit about playing on the PGA.
Well, it's not what it used to be. I think he won 27 million for the year's not over. So the first year I played, Jack Nicklaus lost the money championship to Tom Watson, and Nicklaus had won overall $280,000 for the year. So it's kind of like second string. In the golf business, I'm a little bit, some of these, when they said 30 years, it was actually 50 years on the, I started teaching when I was 20. Fun. But you had to be part of, there were 3 major parts of the PGA person. So a guy like you came to me and said, I want to play on the tour. Well, we're going to start working on your game, and then we'll go to some the turf school. That's what they call it, turf school. If you can make it there, and they don't choose how long it's going to be. They're not going to say, well, look, you got to shoot this, you got to do that. I don't want to bore them too much with this, but there are 450 players at the turf school I went to in '77, and they wouldn't tell you how many they're taking. We're taking the top 5, we're taking 20, we're taking this, that, and the other, until the last round. So then there was, what was it? 6 rounds? No, 6 rounds.
6 rounds.
6 rounds, and so then they gave us the number. Okay, you got to be even par for the week. You got 1 round to do it. They're adding up on it, and so then if we make it, then we figure out where we get some money to travel around, because when I told you Tom Watson 300, that was big money.
Wow.
So these guys, we've got another golfer in here that's I think made almost $1 million and didn't keep his card.
Wow.
It's crazy. And we live with $1 million a year. I could handle that.
So, yeah, so could I. So Tom, you were one of the city's foremost golf instructors at Randolph and in Green Valley. I told you a story when I was standing out here. Armand Tadian took me one day right across the street, and I was a pretty good athlete. And he says, "You know what? You could be a heck of a golfer." I said, "No, I like the holes that big and the ball like that. I like that." But he said, "So come on and go." I went over there. I thought you held the club like this, and you went, and he showed me that it's a different configuration. And so I left, and after about 10 minutes I left, because it's too long and it's the skill level. But talk about, as an instructor, what levels of skill do you get, like from the neophytes to the know-it-alls and everything like that? What level do you get?
Yeah, all the above, really.
All the above.
And it's hard to pick out when you're working with the first tee kids. It's kind of a whole different. A lot of them are just there for the, great program. They're there to learn and maybe get find a fun career with golf, or just playing with your father, mother, whoever would go with you. I want to get off track. I've had a few golfers that have gone from basically 0 to breaking 80, which is huge.
What does that mean? I have no idea. That's a foreign language. What is breaking 80?
Well, 90% of the golfers don't break 100. And so if you can shoot in the 80s, you're in the top, like 1% of all golfers. See, so you should have stuck with Armin.
Yeah.
That's it.
So, is there an age limit for, how long you can be good at golf? I mean, I know several guys who, whose backs have given out. I mean, or can you play as long as you want to play?
I think you're looking at what we all wish to do is get in better shape and maybe improve the game that we love. Or, I was one of the kids that played basketball at Bear Down, and in fact, I wanted to be a basketball player, but never got to play because I wasn't very good.
Yeah.
But
It's needless to say, you didn't come to the Bear Down days when Tom Danahy and us guys were over there, right?
right,
Well, it's you have a very interesting bio, and who knows, maybe one day I'll show up and for at least 10 minutes, Tom.
I think you got to do it. You got the move. You got the. I'm looking at when you're talking. You're going this way.
This guy's a
You're
golfer.
looking- Wait a minute. I could do that. Like this.
See, I can't even do that. Hey, congratulations, Tom. Appreciate it. Okay, our next inductee is Perry Touche. Now, I mean, if you'd like to, I can ask you questions from here, or you can come on down. This. Oh, that's what we need. We've had enough guys with loud mouths, so let's go. Hello there. So, boy, I was looking at your bio. 6 state team at South Point, by the way. She's a product of Sabino High School, and she coached at South Point. Tennis, 6 state team titles, 14 Pima.
In 5A,
In 5A.
and we were only 3A at the time.
Did you guys hear that? 5A.
I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, oh, that's something to be proud of, take my word. 14 Pima County Division Team Championships, 5 state singles titles, 5 state doubles titles, 2-time Coach of the Year. You're compiling a 213 and 16 record, and you're in the South Point Hall of Fame. Boy, that's Sue Clark territory.
I don't know about that.
So, talk a little bit about coaching, how you got started coaching.
Well, I was very fortunate to have a father that played, and he played at the U of A for 4 years, and he put a tennis racket in my hand at 7 years old, and I just loved it. I thought it was the greatest thing in the world, and when, as a lot of you know, being a parent, whenever your child loves a sport, you are so grateful, because I think it's a great avenue for children to keep them out of trouble, keep them focused, keep them, you know, you've got to have good grades to go further with your sport. And I ate, drank, and slept it. I loved it. And then you keep playing at Sabino, and then I played at the U of A, and then I was at I was on the board at South Point at the time. I didn't have children there, and we were fortunate enough, Stephen and myself were fortunate enough to have 2 daughters that just fell in love with the sport also. And one played at University of North Texas, and one chose soccer and played at Ohio State, but they both started with tennis, and it was a funnel to keep them out of trouble and keep them focused. But Ruth Jensen was chasing me down the hall, and I said, well, is everything okay? And she said, I want you to be the tennis coach. And I thought, well, why? And she said, because you taught my kids tennis. I was the assistant pro at the Tucson Country Club many years ago, and helping Craig Hardy, because he was my coach. And I said, well, okay, let me ask my kids, because they're going to make this team, and I don't want to be I don't want to wreck anything for them in their high school career. So they said, oh, you might as well do it. You're going to be at anything anyway, so why don't you do it? So we had a wonderful run. We were very fortunate, and when I said that we were in Division III at the time, we always had to petition up. When we ran into people like Susan Primusberger, to play in Division V. We were very fortunate at South Point. We had a melting pot of very, very good tennis players. And it enabled us to play the big boys up in Phoenix. And that's what we did. And the girls were amazing. It was a good go. It was fun. And I want to thank Susan for all of her efforts with the AIA. I mean, not with the AIA, but really with Title IX, because my kids benefited from that.
What advice would you give a young aspiring coach today?
Realize that these kids, they're young. They're high school kids at the end of the day. They're getting ready for prom. They're getting ready for homecoming. Need to get their nails done. I forget, we were up at State, and the kids had to get ready for prom, and they didn't want tan lines, and they didn't want this and that, and I thought, oh my God. I'm sitting here thinking, we're playing Xavier tomorrow, and they're talking about tan lines and getting their feet done. And trust me, they needed their feet done. I was all good with that. But I remember checking out, and I said, what is this bill for 12 towels? Well, they had tanning cream on it.
Oh, yeah.
It stained the tan, but at the end of the day, you have to play with these kids, and bring them into your world and let them also be their age, because it's important. It is, it's important.
And you're competing with social media.
Well, yeah, but I like what you said, that, coaching is just a different way to compete, and it just keeps you in the game. It keeps you with people, and it's wonderful. And you just hope that I was very blessed with a wonderful, working with South Point administration and the South Point kids and teachers. It was a real special, special family. And we were very lucky and blessed that our kids went to school there, and I'm very grateful for Ruth to give me the opportunity.
Well, congratulations on a stellar
Thank you.
career.
Thank you.
Good
And
luck.
also, thank you for all the people that put this together. You're very kind, and I'm very humbled to be in this class.
Okay, did I get all the individual inductees? Yes? Okay. All right, each year, a few years ago, Greg Hansen mentioned the idea of honoring boys and girls teams, state championship teams. And so this year, it is the 2000 Flowing Wells girls softball team, coached by Armando Quiroz. Is Armando here? How you doing?
How are you?
How you doing? I found out, and I spoke with Armando the other day, and I found out that he's a fellow Badger, and boy, one of my teammates was best man
Yep.
at Chuco,
Chico Miranda.
our big center. It's a small world,
Yes.
you know. Well, congratulations, buddy. In speaking with Armando, I found out that, boy, I mean, what an accomplished coach. I mean, we're honoring the 2000 state championship softball team, but he coached 2 other state championships teams, and also coached for years at Pima College. Okay, and so by the way, do you have any of any of your team members here
Yeah, I
today?
have 2 of my captains here. Can they come up here?
Absolutely, come on down if you got.
I have coaches here.
Coaches, come on down.
George, Gene, Dickey.
You guys take the time to be here. We want to acknowledge you. All right. Okay. So you guys won the state championship, you told me, against Deer Valley.
Correct.
You beat them 5-0. All right. So talk to us a little bit about some of the highlights from that year and some of your just special moments, if you would.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you, everybody. We're humbled and honored to be part of this prestigious inductee group. Thank you very much. What you see to my right is why we won. Okay, we had a great season. We had won the state championship in 1999 in 4A. That's back in the day when there was one 4A in Arizona and there was one 5A. There was no division, so we did win the 4A title. We came out of nowhere. People didn't know who we were, but we knew. And we were favored in 2000 for 5A from start to finish. And fortunately, we finished that journey, and that's because of them. We had 5 D1 players in our starting lineup. And here's 2 of them. Rebecca Quiroz, my daughter, who's now the coach at Pima, a very successful coach at Pima, and Candace Abrams, who coached at the NCAA level for many years. They were both all-state players, high school All-Americans. And I had, so anytime things got tough, and the games got tough, and things were looking a little tight, I just looked up and looked at Candace, Rebecca, Ashley Monceau, Blair Hoke, Stephanie Nicholson, among others. And all of a sudden things were okay, because I knew they were going to pull it out, and they did. Against Deer Valley in the state championship game, we scored 3 runs before they got their first out. And we had Ashley Monceau on the mound, and with her on the mound, that was the game over. And it was, and we just finished the other innings, but we ended up winning 5-0 And these girls were beautiful, silent assassins is what they were. They really were. They look really nice and beautiful, but they'll cut your heart out. They would. Yeah. And I love that about them. I remember going up on the bus to Phoenix for the state championship game, and going over my notes and game plans, and figured we were favored. Okay, so I figured, well, things look good, but there's always that but, So I was worried about the but, and I was going through the papers, and Blair Hoke was sitting across from me, and she says, "Coach, what's going on? Why are you worried?" She says, "We got this. Don't worry. Relax, sit down, we got this." And they sure did. They had it. So a tribute to them. And George Corona, coach over here, he's a successful coach at Marana High School. He was our assistant coach. And Richard Quiroz, my brother, he retired from the railroad. He was a coach at Flowing Wells, outstanding outfield coach. And last but not least, Gene Gonzalez, who was with me since day one at Flowing Wells, and most of the way at Pima as well. So this is a family, and that's how we want it, and that's who we are.
Well, congratulations, Coach, and congratulations to all of you. And thank you, guys. Thank you. Congratulations. Okay, and at this time, I'd like to ask representatives from the 1977-78 Pueblo High School Boys State Championship basketball team. In fact, we have one of those players here, my good friend Kenny Martin. Okay, so Raul Amazon is the representative today. These guys won back-to-back state championships, and I'm glad at least Tony Mosley's not here, or I would get into a debate about whose team was the better, our state championship team in 1969 or theirs. But they were an outstanding basketball team. They did the coveted back-to-back, which was pretty amazing, with players like, well, Kenny's here, Jumping Jack Jeff Moore, a friend of mine, Fat Lever, NBA All-Star Fat Lever, Tony Mosley. Like I said, I'll see Tony. We'll chop it up in November if I'm around here. And other players. They were a special group. And I remember Roland Levetter, who's in basketball heaven now. I remember talking with Roland. I'd called him over the years, and I got a lot of good just basketball stories, like I do from Curly Santa Cruz. And I attended his memorial, and I sat with Kenny and the Moore brothers, and we were talking about old times. And Tony Mosley said something about Coach Levetter that I'll never forget. He said that he told his players, "Practice is mine, the game is yours." And I remember him he was black and white. It was no in between. I mean, he had those guys disciplined. In fact, I remember he shared a story with me about Fat Lever. He had a rule that if you guys dunked, you could dunk it, but if you missed it, and so it's like John Wooden said, his best friend was the bench. And I remember he said that Fat Lever went up to dunk and he missed it, and he knew right there that his girlfriend was going to be the bench. So these guys were special, and I'm going to ask Raul to talk a little bit about that team, and I'll ask you a couple questions. I promise you it won't be 45 minutes.
Okay, good. So it's my privilege, and I want to thank the committee for having us and recognizing us here. I'm kind of surprised that we even talk about the '69 team, to be honest with you, but we were the best. And so again, one of the things that I enjoyed, and Kenny and I was the ninth man on the team. And so most of you probably heard about the sixth man on the team coming off the bench, but I was the ninth man. And so a part of that distinction is that if you come in the game, you're doing really, really well. And so the team, we had a 53-5 record over 2 years. Our senior year, we were undefeated. And so that was one of the distinctions that created the aura of what we have of our team now. Coach Levetter was a disciplinarian. He was the coach that really shaped all of us together. You know, many of you may have heard of the bad boys of the Detroit Piston days back in the 80s, but the Pueblo team were the sad boys of South Tucson. And so we came from, dysfunctional homes, single-parent families, parents that were struggling just to make ends meet. And so Roland had to take those group of young men and pull us together. It helped that he locked the gym for 5 hours, so that made a difference in how we trained and what we believed. But more than anything, Roland taught us that it was us against them. It was us against the world. And the only way that we were going to be able to prove ourselves in life was to be excellent and give 100%. It wasn't about winning. It's about giving all that you had and leaving it out there on the court and being proud of that and being proud of whatever the percent of effort that you made. And so again, we had a great team. We had no three-point line back in those days, and so that was another distinction. And so we did score over 100 points in 4 games in that year without a three-point line, and I can verify that because I played in every one of those games. And so it was a pleasure, right, being involved with the team and watching and being a part of Fat and Tony's success. Lafayette has gone on to the Arizona Hall of Fame. He was a 2-time All-Star with the NBA, has his jersey retired at Denver Nuggets and at ASU. And so that's Fred Snowden's loss, just to let you know. But again, we realized just the privilege and the honor of being able to see ourselves achieve. And one of the things Tony Mosley told me to make sure I said, and so we're going to cover that base today, is that of all the things that Roland taught us, right, he did teach us that we could be champions in a world that was against us. And the situations and circumstances of our lives are going to be tough, they're going to be difficult, they're going to be challenges in life, but that we could be winners, we could be champions. And all of us from that point on have actually succeeded in our lives, in our careers, going to college, doing successful things in life and in business. And so one of the things that I always thank Roland for and the team for was helping me to believe that I could be a winner. Right, even if I was from South Tucson, raised between 2 bars, I had something to shoot for in my life. And I'm working now for Raytheon Missile Systems, been there now for several years, was in the Pueblo High School Hall of Fame as another part of the things that I have the honor of being a part of. So all of us were very successful because of that dedication that Roland had and the team had, and all of us to do well and to make sure that the opportunity that we had didn't go to waste.
Mondo, I wanted to ask you, how many of you guys came through Utterback? Did you, Kenny?
Yes.
Utterback and Fat?
Fat, Jeff, and Kenny.
Jeff, Fat, okay.
Duncan Jackson?
Duncan Jackson. I'm looking at Kenny standing here now. They didn't have a 6. Your tallest man was
6'4".
6'4". And I remember Roland Levetter telling me that it was a responsibility of each one of these guys to rebound. And I tell you what, I sat behind the bench for most of their senior year and watched them. They were really quite remarkable. And for the sake of Tony Mosley, I'll go ahead and say that you guys won it back to back, and that was fantastic. Kenny, would you like to say anything?
I don't talk much, but what I do want to say and so on is that, you mentioned order back and stuff like that. And my dad was really a very disciplinary person and so on. So I think that's where I kind of started. I kind of got my start there. And he taught we all work hard and we work together. I have 5 other brothers. We had a family business that we had to work hard, and it was teamwork. No one was done until everything was done. And so on. And that's when we came home and went back to the shop. And so on. So once I went, I said, oh, wow. And over at Orderback, elementary school and so on, we moved out here and so on from Arkansas. Moved here from Arkansas, a little town in Arkansas, Bradley, Arkansas. I think Lever understands where that's at too. I think he came from that area.
Yeah.
I was like 3 years old, like 3 or 4 years old. Moved over in an area where I was going to Mission View. The elementary school is going there. And right next door to me, when I moved there, 3, 4 years old, I learned my Spanish. I learned some Spanish there because my next door neighbor was a guy by the name of Sergio Vega. Sergio Vegas, currently Santa Cruz, I'm sure he knows who he is. He went on to play, I think he played in the NFL. I think he played over at the university as a punter. And then I stayed there, and we ended up leaving there and so on right after that, moving and so on. I stayed there for about 6-7 years. And so not knowing that I would have ran into a guy named Raul Almazan if we hadn't moved over in the Orderback area.
Yeah.
And so on, Raul, John Carasosa, Richard Lawyer, all of those guys. I didn't see them anymore. And then I ended up seeing them and so on. We went to Orderback. And then right around the corner from me was a guy, after we moved, a guy by the name of Pat Adams that was also on that team.
Pat Adams, yeah.
Pat Adams.
All-American.
Seen him, All-American guy that lived right around the corner from me. Right up the street from me was a guy named Tony Mosley that lived there. And so, and then right around the corner, a little bit later, a guy named Lafayette Lieber was right over there. But we all went to Orderback. We all went to Orderback. And so I'm like, wow. And the unity that my dad taught me at a very early age, I didn't get a chance to experience that until I ran into Lavetta, to understand how important it was. And so, because then I ran into these guys, they were playing over at another middle school, and they were playing there, and we were over at Orderback, and it was rivalry. So all those guys that we end up taking that state championship and doing really well and so on, we ended up playing against these guys, and we were rivals. So I said, wow.
That's
now I
great.
see where the unity is so important. I see all the stuff that my dad instilled in me from working in business. I see that was really important stuff. So it really made a big difference. So I
Okay.
got familiar with everyone.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
And
you.
I have to say, congratulations, guys. And I count this guy right here as one of my special friends, Kenny and Tony. Kenny's a better friend. No, I love all you guys, man. I go way back with you. It's good to see you, and hopefully we'll see you in November, baby.
And I love Delano Price and so on. He reminds me and so on of what we did because it's always a blur to me. And he reminds me all the time so of what we've done.
Okay, my brother.
And the guy back there in the back, Dale Lopez.
All right. Okay. That concludes our introductions. Thank you for the privilege of your time, and congratulations to all of you fellow Hall of Famers. Good luck. And I'm going to turn the program back over to the president of the Pima County Sports Hall of Fame, Pat Darcy.
That was very good, Delano. That was very good. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
It was a lot. So if anybody needs tickets, wants to get tickets, see Dale in the back. And we also have some food left over here. So, it was it was fun listening. And I got one Sparky Anderson story, a lot of coaches here. We were in minor leagues with the minor league complex, working on some plays. And we're going to do game situation drills. So he yelled out, a bunch of players around, starters take the field. He turned to me and said, if two guys go to the same position, we got a problem. That's what it was. And I want to say about Pete Rose. Pete Rose is a good friend of mine, passed away a few days ago. Pete he played hard all the time. He wasn't a great athlete, he just played hard all the time. He started as a second baseman, then he moved to left field, and then he was in left field, and in '74, the Dodgers took advantage, jumped up ahead of him, we never caught him. So '75, we're struggling again then. So Sparky called Pete in his office and said, would you consider playing third base? Well, third base at Riverfront Stadium back then, it's AstroTurf, and when it gets wet, the ball skips. And Pete didn't say, yeah, give me a raise. He says, I'll do it. Took ground balls the next day. He starts at third base. George Foster goes to left field. We win the World Series. I mean, that's amazing. Pete was that kind of guy. Another thing, it's kind of funny, but he was really famous in Kentucky and Ohio and Indiana. Well, some guy that had a coal mine had a Mercedes, and he was going to give it to Pete. So we're taking, after batting practice, we're in the clubhouse. Pete says, have you ever been in a Rolls Royce before? No, neither have I. So they're in the clubhouse, underneath the stand, there's a Rolls Royce with the keys in it. So the team's taking batting, but we're driving around downtown Cincinnati in a Rolls Royce. I mean, that's amazing to do something like that. And one thing else, we're gonna have we're gonna auction a baseball off, and Johnny Benson's a good friend of mine. He signed a ball for us, and it's gonna be auctioned off at the banquet, okay? Have a good time, everybody. It was a lot of fun. Okay.